Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event. With your hosts, TV Scouting MMA and
The Guru back again for UFC Vegas 45. Derrick the Black Beast Lewis taking on Chris I Used to Be a Cop Dawkis, also known as UFC Fight Night 199 or UFC on ESPN Plus 57. It is the final card of 2021, but we are not letting it go without a banger here. We got the man himself, Balls Deep Breakdown's own Uncle Weezy, my new family member. What is going on, buddy?
What's up, fellas? It's really good to meet both of you guys, be on your show. It's a lovely Wednesday night to talk about MMA. And if we love MMA, we got to do it now because after this week, we got a month off. So if you're a bettor like me, if you're a UFC fan like me, we got to do it tonight. We got to get ready for Saturday because I don't know what the hell we're going to do. I guess we're going to have to hang out with our families.
No, we're not doing that. We're watching more football and probably going degenerate. I'll be asking Tyler in 3 days about some Knicks bets or something stupid. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. But
Don't bet on the Knicks, dude.
No.
Don't do it.
oh god, that's just been a money pit. But hey,
Oh
we
my God.
appreciate you so much coming on, Weezy. We got a couple quick pre-show comments here. DAZ files smoking amnesia haze, which is why I write shit down. LFG.
It's a good
Hell
way
yeah.
to make sure you remember
Yes.
things.
I think we
Chronic
all know how
combat,
that
baby.
goes.
And then I think it's Payama Lou Diamond Phillips. He's here for Weezy.
Weezy.
Entertain me these first two fights.
We
And
got you.
all right, hey, let's get into it because this is very exciting. So right now, we are going to take it straight from the top. We got Derrick Lewis versus Chris Dawkis. I mean, you talk about exciting heavyweights coming up in the division, and Chris Dawkis is going to be at the top, maybe second on the list, maybe third on the list. You got Cyril Gahn, Tom Aspinall, Chris Dawkis. I mean, the heavyweight division's fleshing out, and here's Derrick Lewis. Is he the gatekeeper of them all? Let's see. I mean, Dawkis is taking a big step up here. Guru, what are you thinking about this?
I can't help but agree with you. He's certainly taking a huge step up, and somehow I don't know if it's just my love for Derrick Lewis in me, but seeing him still here at dog odds is just it's too interesting to me. I really.
So what do we
think
got the line at here? It's Chris Dawkis minus 140 and Derrick Lewis plus 120 on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, he's already down to plus 112 on FanDuel, so I almost want to pull the trigger at plus 120. I think it's going to get closer the closer it gets to fight day, and that actually makes more sense because this fight is more of a coin flip, and when you don't know exactly what's going to happen in a fight, the line should be closer. Derrick Lewis just fought the best fighter at heavyweight right now. I may be tipping my hand to where I'm going for UFC 270, but he just fought the best fighter at heavyweight right now. So I don't really take too much stock out of that. The amount of pressure he put on himself to fight in front of Houston was ridiculous. Chris Dawkis hasn't been past the second round. This is a 5-round fight, guys. Whether we all think it's going to go there or not is not really my point at the moment. It's booked for 5 rounds. Derrick Lewis has been there, done that. Main event spots. This guy just quit his job 2 weeks ago. I think Chris Dawkis has quick hands. He's definitely got the power, right? He's shown that, but power against who?
I think everything on paper says, like statistically, that Chris Dawkis should
look
have
at all
it
that
here.
green. Look at all that green you got
I mean,
there.
it's simple because when you just look statistically, it totally makes sense. But I think when you take a deeper look into the numbers or just a deeper look, just a few of these fights end so quickly, it's easy to go back on the tape. And you see Chris Dawkis actually take a little bit of damage from Parker Porter in the pocket and stuff like that. It does make me hesitant to play him as a favorite against a guy that has shown pretty decent durability. And Chris Dawkis hasn't shown like the leg kicks to kind of chop down the same way that Cyril Gahn was able to completely stifle Lewis and honestly make him give up. I think you had a really interesting angle earlier in the week, Guru, but before we get there, Weezy, what are you thinking about on this fight?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I placed a bet on the fight doesn't go to decision about as soon as it opened.
Smart.
We got Derrick Lewis has been finished in all 6 of his UFC losses. Chris Dawkis has been finished in all 3 of his pro losses. And if you combine the 11 losses between these two guys, 9 of them were finished inside the distance. Add that to the fact that this is a 5-round fight. You have to kind of ask yourself, if you're looking to bet one side or the other on the money line, which one of these guys is more likely to finish, because it's not going to decision. And we don't know much about Dawkis's durability, do we? I mean, what we know from looking back on the regional scene is that, when this guy was a little bit less all in on MMA, he would absolutely get tired, like a lot of heavyweights do, especially when they're grappling. And we've seen him come into the UFC now and kind of just reinvent himself a little bit in terms of just being a pure boxer. And that's worked out very well for him. And even though the wins are over guys that people aren't entirely impressed with, we don't see a lot of guys having wins that age well when they come in at the heavyweight division. Now, Nascimento is 3-1 in the UFC, with his only loss being to Dawkis. Parker Porter's 2-1 in the UFC, with his only loss being to Dawkis. Then he's beating a legend like Oleinik, and then a nice win over Abdurakhimov. He made much quicker work of Abdurakhimov than Derrick Lewis did, that's for sure. And Abdurakhimov kind of fights in a similar fashion to Derrick Lewis, where he kind of wants to lull you into a low volume staring contest where he can just kind of stand in front of you and wait to counter, land that one big shot. So it looks like Dawkis will be the minute winner here. But Derrick Lewis is the best moment winner in the UFC. He's just gonna all it takes is one moment, and then you're looking up at the lights wondering what happened. So it's a very interesting fight. I'm not as interested in the money line either way as I am in violence props on this one. This one is not going to see the scorecards. And one other bet that I do have on this fight, which I think is kind of interesting, but it probably won't matter, is the decision only prop on DraftKings was minus 135 for Chris Dawkis. So if this fight does go to decision, minus 135 for Dawkis, where Lewis is only winning decisions when people are trying to wrestle him. But if people stand in front of him for 5 rounds, they usually get knocked out. So I think that if it does go to decision, Dawkis will be the guy winning minutes, winning rounds. But, my pick is going to be Chris Dawkis, but I'm not betting him at this line.
Yeah. That totally makes sense to me. I from watching the tape on the Derrick Lewis and Cyril Gane fight, I saw Derrick Lewis a little bit more willing to actually do the chasing down, but Cyril Gane is much more defensively apt in that way. And Dawkis in his last fight was actually pretty hesitant and patient as far as his general approach to Shamil Abdurakhimov. Once he kind of found the range and got that combo, you saw that he was able to put his lights out. But I haven't really seen too many people touch Derrick Lewis at that one punch. Derrick Lewis has a pretty good shell. And Guru was over here the other day actually talking me into an over 1.5. And right now it's at minus 130. I do think that this fight definitely ends inside the distance. And I think hearing everyone say that, this doesn't give me like the Thiago Santos, Johnny Walker vibes, because I've at least seen these guys be very willing to put out the output, even against dangerous opponents. But over 1.5, I think Chris Dawkis is going to take his time to really find just how quickly Derrick Lewis can counter, because I think his quickness is actually extremely underrated.
Yeah, and that line has actually started to slide a little bit as the week has gone on. So I definitely want to hit that now at what is that, over minus 130.
I kind of
minus
like
130
that too.
Over 1.5. Yep.
Kind of like that too, simply because it's a 5-round fight, and a lot of times they will really pace themselves in the first round, knowing there's no reason to empty the gas tank this early.
Yeah, Dad's file saying Shamil hit Dawkis and he didn't seem to care much. Can't be like that against Lewis. Exactly. I mean, he was willing to get hit. And the one thing I really did see, other than, again, Lewis putting so much pressure on himself versus Gane, was that Gane was so perfect sliding into range, clipping him, frustrating, sliding out. And perfectly knowing not only just when to slide out, but knowing just when to run away completely. I'm very unsure if Dawkis has that level of fight IQ, because Gon displayed something really, really high. And Brady, our guy, DFS by the numbers, saying, "What's up, guys?" Brady, thank you so much for tuning in.
What a guy.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we're bringing Brady in soon. So make sure you stay tuned for 2022. Gonna be a big year for the Chronic Conversation crew.
Palama Loom Diamond Fillets out here. He's saying, ask if he's willing. He keeps on asking for, where's the donate button? Unfortunately, not at 1,000 subscribers, so we can't take stuff on YouTube. If you guys wanted to support the show, and believe me, if we want to support Weezy too. So anything you send our way, if you would like to, we do have it posted on our Linktree, which is available if you check out where we post it on Twitter, go to our profiles. You can more than, we would be very, very appreciative if you wanted to support the show. But as far as just on YouTube here, unfortunately can't provide that option for you guys at this stage. But hey, if you want to throw us a like, subscribe to the channel and help us grow,
share it around.
It'd be very much appreciated. And DAZ Files, thank you so much for the sub. Palama, I mean, dude, you're the best. We really appreciate it. Gon is like water, like Matrix. Hey, Brady. Yeah, we love having you on the show. Anyways, so yeah, just to kind of get back to closing up this fight here, guys. Once again, as far as statistically, and as Weezy said, when in the moments, it'll be Dawkis. But I'm not loving the side. I am loving that over 1.5.
Yeah, got to make sure we hit that for sure.
Definitely. So we'll get right into our next fight. We have the co-main event. Let's get it loaded up here. We got the Wonder Boy, Stephen Thompson, and he's going to be coming in fighting Belal Bully Muhammad. Or is it Remember the Name? I mean, where are we at in these days as far as the nicknames?
It's Remember the Name, but forget my nickname, Muhammad.
Right. So this fight, it has the potential to be very, very exciting from a pure, striking standpoint. And I am actually very curious to see if Belal Muhammad is going to come out with the same type of game plan that Gilbert Burns did. But when you just look at the measurables here, Muhammad's given up a lot of reach, 3 inches. He's going to be an inch shorter. The leg reach for Stephen Thompson, he's got the 2-inch advantage, and he does fight more from a switch stance, whereas Muhammad really just kind of comes forward with pressure. And defensively, I know, statistically, it does look pretty decent with like a 62%, but he just doesn't show, the proper like head movement and overall like awareness when he gets in there against strikers that can really hurt him. And Stephen Thompson is one of those guys, I think, that can really hurt him. But this fight, realistically, is probably just going to end up going the distance, and that's heavily baked into the line. Are you guys seeing anything on the sides here? Because right now this line is -220 Wonder Boy and +180 Muhammad. I know it opened up a lot wider than that.
No, and on FanDuel it is much wider. It's -250 Wonder Boy and nearly +200 Belal. Honestly, I lean Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but we've seen decent grappling from Belal, but as the stats actually show, right, he's not actually what's his takedown? I don't even know where it is on our thing here. It's over there. There it is.
Yeah. He's 22 of 78 on his takedowns, 28.21%.
Yeah. Not as high as you'd actually like him to be for a guy that's, his striking's middling. It's good. He throws, he'll throw, but it's more for I feel like it's more for show to get into the grappling, which he's not really using very much. So yeah, you'd like to see him use the Gilbert Burns approach, but is he as physical as Gilbert Burns? Is he as strong as Gilbert Burns? And Gilbert Burns lost that 3rd round, mind you. Like, Wonderboy battled back for whatever that's worth. People will forget that. I honestly feel like this is a similar spot to as I felt last week in the I held my breath for a minute there in the Dominic Cruz Pedro Munoz fight. Like, I felt for sure more than anything that fight was going the distance, and Cruz gave us a little scare there. But I feel pretty much the same way here. I feel like almost more than anything, this fight will go the distance. These are nice guys. They're going to go in there. They're going to set a pace, and the fight's going to kind of play out how it's going to play out. I think -215 fight goes the distance is a fair number. So I'm actually surprised not to see it way more chalky like you see. I meant to ask you, by the way, what you got the fight not going the distance in the main event at. But that line right now is -600 not to go the distance. I expected this line for the fight to go the distance to kind of be more in that territory. So our special guest, Uncle Weezy at MMA Weezy, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, Bilal's not a finisher. He's only finished 2 of his 10 UFC wins, and he's only finished 26% of his 19 professional wins. So, the guy's 5 wins by finishing 23 fights. So he's, and plus he doesn't get finished really. I mean, he's only been finished once in 3 losses. Stephen Thompson's only been finished once in 5 losses. So when I see, a 75% implied probability tied to the combined losses, I like the over. So I'm with you on that bet. And I kind of, I think Thompson wins this fight. The main reason I think he wins this fight is Thompson is a great striker. He's going to win the minutes on the feet here, but he's also good at keeping the fight on the feet. His fights take place at striking range about 81% of his UFC career, and that's a 247-minute sample size. So he's real good at not being involved in grappling competitions. And Belal, even though he's attempted 78 takedowns in 14 fights and had 35 takedowns attempted against him in 14 fights, his fights are only taking place in control time positions about 26% of the time. So if I'm looking for somebody to beat Stephen Thompson, and I know that they're not going to win minutes on the feet, I want to see like a 40 or 50% takedown percentage. I want to see guys that are out controlling their opponents at like a 3-to-1 ratio. I want to see guys that are position over submission grapplers, which is what Belal is really. But with 78 takedown attempts, and he's really only getting 1/5 control time of the percentage of cage time that he has in the UFC, it just leads me to believe that Thompson's going to be able to keep this fight on the feet long enough in order for him to win enough minutes to win this fight.
Yeah, and TB's got a little grin on his face there because that's something that he saw, texted me that he saw in the tape. I was like, "Oh, aren't you worried about Bilal's grappling?" He's like, "I don't know, man. He doesn't show much in the way of in holding them down. I think Wonder Boy's going to be able to keep it standing." And yeah, I kind of agree because that's why I was on Wonder Boy against Gilbert Burns wrongly, because I was like, oh, look at his takedown defense. It's so high. He's great. He's going to be able to keep it standing. And then we were so surprised when he was out physicaled by the complete freaking pit bull animal thing that is Gilbert Burns.
The neck of all necks.
You mean the lack of neck or whatever that is.
I mean, it's just like his back doesn't stop. It's like the turtle shell, But like
exactly,
Gilbert Durinho Burns is a different explosive level athlete with, I just think, a different level of strength than Belal.
He needs to fight Chimaev. That's the fight.
Well, I thought the distance striking in the Leon Edwards fight was what really made me the most concerned. And Leon Edwards is the one initiating the clinch exchanges in that fight. Belal was perfectly happy to play on the outside and get pieced up until Leon was like, you know what, let me take a quick break and lean into the clinch before I gas out early. But he head kick, straights, and then he was like, you know what, let me just poke you in the eye because I got to do Leon Edwards things. But ultimately, I guess seeing that it's -225 compared to the -250 as far as Stephen Thompson here, I'll probably try to find a nice little parlay piece before the end of the night because I really just do feel like it's going to look like the Jeff Neal fight. It's going to look like the Vicente Luque fight. I don't think Belal Muhammad is going to be the one that can have either the strength, explosiveness, or game plan to hold him down. And I think he's just going to follow him around and look silly, get him pieced up.
I like that.
So, pretty simply enough, as long as you boys are okay with it, let's get on to the next fight here, huh?
Yeah.
We got Amanda Lemos versus Angie Overkill Hill.
This was originally supposed to be Lemos versus Nina Nunes.
Oh yeah, I think she wanted to focus on Amanda's camp, but
I don't know how well that went.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when she found out she was fighting Lemos, she's like, I want to concentrate on my wife's camp. Probably a good move, probably a really good carear move.
Definitely.
I've got a baby to take care of.
Exactly.
Is this the widest line on the card here? I see minus 400 and then a plus 310 coming back on Hill. I do think it's kind of fair when you just look at the attributes, right?
It is the widest line of the day. Getting a little bit better of a line on FanDuel here, minus 385 plus 290.
Oh, so it's minus 335 on DraftKings.
Oh,
So
I thought you said 435.
well, I'm sorry. That was BetMGM that had minus 400. I was looking over at Best Fight Odds.
Oh,
You know,
fuck
that's right.
BetMGM, unless they want to sponsor us. You guys are the best.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thompson all the way and D. Yeah, Thompson's probably Thompson by decision plus 100. So I don't know.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So yeah, now we got I look into the Lemos fight and looking back at like because I was extremely concerned at first that like Hill has all this experience and everything like that, but I thought in the Mizuki fight we saw a lot of attempted takedowns and a lot of clinch work, or at least a little bit from Mizuki trying to like force the issue, and we did see Lemos go the distance, and at minus 115 her body just looks like in so much better shape, and maybe that was partially the 2-year USADA drug suspension, getting into the greatest shape ever, and like sometimes you take a hit, but you're like, this is my one last run. And so, I mean, Lemos, yeah, I definitely see the path to victory and inside the distance. If you're going to do that, you'd almost want to look at the submission, because Angie, in her career, she has 0 submission wins, 3 submission losses. Lemos does have 2 sub wins. And I wouldn't, I mean, Angie could certainly be, knocked out for the first time in her career here. But that's not the thing I'm rushing to put money on. Where do you guys sit on this fight?
Well, I just by greasy submission prop, just for a random thought, Lemos by submission is plus 1100. So that that seems just a little too high.
I was just about to pull that up. Or excuse me?
Yeah, it's plus 1100 on FanDuel, so that seems a little high. I honestly, like, I don't want to seem like I'm sucking on sour grapes or anything, but I played I played Angela Hill at what I thought to be a value spot over Tisha Torres, and Tisha Torres, looking to making a Tisha Torres 2.0, right? Like coming out and just whooping Sam Hughes. I was like, all right, whatever, Sam Hughes, and then comes and whoops Angela Hill, and I was like, oh damn. So I don't really know what to make of Angela Hill right now, right? She's lost 3 of the last 4, her one win being a relatively unimpressive win against Ashley Yoder. Her other wins being Luma Lukbume, who she's got a size advantage on, and then Hannah Cyphers, Arani Conalose with the cut stoppage win. I mean, it's starting to look a little suspect for her, and Amanda Lemos, I mean, looked like a beast against Ruiz, right? I mean, she's just kind of looked like a beast in general. No, who's gonna stop her here? What can Hill do? Like, Hill's a striker that doesn't have enough output, and then doesn't have like any sort of clinch grappling to like rely on here. Is Lemos gonna gas out and Hill's gonna then take over? Oh no, wait, Hill's the one that kind of takes her eye off the ball and seems to fade. Am I missing something here, Uncle?
The thing that I think you might be missing is that Lemos's conditioning is not that good. Her power numbers are fantastic. She throws her punches straight to the target. She throws with intention to take your head off, and she achieves her goals most of the time, but we're taking a huge, huge, huge step up in competition. This isn't Mizuki. This isn't Miranda Granger. This isn't Lavinia Sosa. This is certainly not Montserrat Ruiz. We have to understand that she's taking a massive step up in competition to a girl who has fought everybody in the division. 18 UFC fights for Angela Hill, 5 for Amanda Lemos. And you watch Mizuki keep rounds 2 and 3 very, very close against Lemos. It's very concerning. And it's because Mizuki's tough and she survived the first round. When you throw with the kind of power and intention that Lemos does, and when you cut the amount of weight that Lemos does, all that comes at a price. The power comes at a price. the big weight cuts so you can be bigger than your opponent. That comes at a price. The price is conditioning. And my worry here is, what is Amanda going to look like after round 1? And if the case is that she does slow down here, you're holding a minus 400 ticket. You're going to be shitting your pants, so that's a problem. This line is really, really, really
ridiculous.
Wide, so that's.
I just found my play, though. With your talking, I found the play. The play, of course, is money line, decision only, Angela Hill plus 275 on DraftKings.
I like it. That's a great way to look at it, because you say if this fight does get extended and it goes the full 3 rounds, what are the chances that Hill can win the second and the third? Because she's not winning the first. Amanda's too good. She is better. She's faster. She's stronger. She has better, definitely way more power. But Angela Hill's got a great chin. She's never been knocked out. 18 UFC fights, never once been knocked out. So, I just want to know what this is going to look like in the second and the third. And because me and Brady, we always kind of try to talk about what we learned from our losses, And just 2 weeks ago, we were like, you can't bet on gassers. You can't bet on gassers. And now we got a gasser sitting at minus 400, and everybody's teeing her up and putting her in parlays. And I would just say pump the brakes a little bit here, because Angie Hill's been around the block. She's way more experienced. She's fought the way better competition. And she's really good on the feet. And her takedown defense is actually really good, too, at 77%. Her opponents are trying to take her down almost 5 times per fight. So she's done a pretty good job of keeping fights on the feet. Over 70% of her fights taking place at striking range. So, it's an interesting matchup. My bet, the party at Weezy's bet that I got going here, is Angela Hill, round 3, plus 3,200.
Whoa.
I put 1/8 of a unit on it. So I'm not going to cry if I lose. But if I do win, I'm getting 4 units back. 32-1. Have a little fun, say what the hell. Let's hedge out just in case Amanda doesn't have a round 3 gas tank against a veteran with 18 fights.
We definitely dig that. Just to bring up, the Amanda Lemos by sub on DraftKings is plus 600. So it's plus 1,100 on FanDuel. That's a huge discrepancy in the line.
You gotta love that. That's why I love FanDuel. My FanDuel account gets drained more than any other, because they put all these super fat props out there that you would never bet, but they're, like it was FanDuel that had the 3,200 on Hill. And I mean, Hill's not finishing anybody, but at plus 3,200, you can make 32 of those bets. You just got to get one of them right, So,
and you definitely have a good game plan as to what you could potentially see happening. It's not something out of the question. We've definitely seen it before. And you're right, as far as pushing the pace, we've definitely seen Hill with a 5 output as far as striking goes. I guess my biggest concern was that she does tend to kind of lower her output when there's more danger coming back at her. But as far as am I running to put Lemos in my parlay, even if I'm saying I would pick Lemos, straight up to win? No, that's not happening. And in fact, Guru's saying we have the plus 1,100 on the submission. I'd rather, in the same vein as Weezy here, I'd rather just throw a couple dollars down, just as like a little long shot on like something fun, rather than, and you can even hedge out on both sides if you have interest in doing the sub.
That's honestly
Hill round 3, and then you can have fun either way in case it plays out either way. And even if you lose both, I mean, did you really risk that much?
No, it's exactly what I was literally going to take maybe a small stab on that money line decision only side for Angela Hill, and then maybe just that little submission flyer just because the line was so wide, like a 0.1 or something. But that's it. It's just a kind of pop and popcorn fight. Watch it and see how it goes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it'll be, could be some violence in this one too. I mean, Amanda is she's so fun to watch. I mean, you don't really see that kind of power in the women's strawweight division ever. She's landed 4 knockdowns in 5 fights. Over 2% of her significant strikes that land result in a knockdown. So it's crazy. And she needs to go now, you guys. She's 34 years old. A lot of people are saying, oh, Angela Hill's 36. She's over the hill. Well, what does that make Amanda Lemos then at 34? So she needs to win now. This is a big fight for Amanda Lemos.
It's a very, very good point. You don't really take that into account as much when the name is quote unquote a little bit more new. So when the name's a little bit more new, you don't always put the, oh wait, she's actually older than Angela Hill, who we've been watching for a little while, who even started her MMA career late. Monk, MMA Addicts, what's up, boys? Want up chat? What's going on, man? Happy to see you in here. Love to see your fallow stats, boy, man. Good to have you in here. Really appreciate the support. Go check them out. They're
Yeah, Monk's my
good
guy,
guys.
man. That guy does amazing work. Check out his YouTube channel. And then my guy Palamia Ludell Diamond Phillips earlier was saying Weezy backed me up about backing up the he supports the MMA community. He supports the content creators. The guy's a really good dude. You'll see him in the chats of a lot of other cappers here on YouTube, and he does a fantastic job of supporting the community. And I really appreciate him, and I was glad to see him in the chat here hanging out with you guys.
We really
Timing,
appreciate
man.
all the
Really,
support,
really
guys.
appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
That's why we love,
Uncle Lou and
family
Uncle
friends.
Weezy, man. I needed some family to come over this holiday season, so that's awesome.
And
Really
throwing all the thanks around. It's Thanksgiving all over again, guys. And I think you'll be.
You go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I seem to be thankful because on this next fight, and thank you so much for the like and sub, and guys out there, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. It can only help us grow, and we keep on hoping to bring you Bet MMA tips is tracking us, so transparency. And if you want to see how we're doing on a weekly basis, you can go check us out because we don't have anything to hide here. And I'm also thankful because I think I found the next leg of my parlay, and it might be a 2-leg main card parlay here because I think I found someone that's ready to commit to a game plan and someone that doesn't necessarily have to worry so much about finishing ability, athleticism. Ricky Simone has a 3-inch reach advantage, 1-inch height advantage, 10 years younger. And I mean, the dude has a 50% takedown accuracy on 5.86 takedowns per 15 minutes.
Elite.
You don't see numbers like that with just normal guys. And he's done this against some of the best names in the division. It's just so impressive to see the work that Ricky Simone has put in. You hate to see him get flatlined by Uriah Faber, and maybe that gives you a little bit of pause before you throw him into anything at minus 280. But I just don't know. I mean, Rafael Assunção, let's put it this way: out of the last 5 opponents that Cody Garbrandt's faced, he was the only guy to lose to him. So, Mr. Assunção, you have some explaining to do. Boys, what are you seeing here? Because right now we got Simone minus 280 and Assunção plus 225.
Yeah, I like that line better. You got minus 300 here on FanDuel. Simone is a freaking beast, man. I was just thinking to myself the other day, where's he been at? I was really excited to see him fight. Been wanting to see him fight, and we haven't seen him in 10 months. I assume he's been training. I don't know if there was any sort of injury or some COVID related, anything going on for him personally. Just getting better. I love to see that at 29 years old. I'm sure he would have liked to have been more active. I know he's been calling out Sugar Sean O'Malley like constantly, wants a money fight, I'm sure. I'm sure he sees a pathway to taking him down and just smashing him in the face. You gotta like Ricky Simone here. Gotta think he's a parlay piece. Don't think he's an apple pie shitter, although we didn't think Amanda Nunes was an apple pie shitter either. But those happen in this sport. It's really whether you think Ricky Simone is going to get the finish or not. I really feel at this stage they're using Assunção's name. I really wouldn't be surprised if Christmas time they might be giving him the old Christmas package of see you later. A guy that was once perennial top of the food chain kind of guy. They seem to now be using his name to be building their top of the food chain kind of guys. Losses to Marlon Moraes, Cody Garbrandt, and Corey Sandhagen. Now they tried to schedule him against Ronnie Barcelos, tried to schedule him against Kyler Phillips. What do those names all have in common? These are pretty popular, guys with a decent upside. And I think Ricky Simone is a pretty popular guy with a decent upside here, in terms of how young is his and what he's got going for him. He's got co-main events in his future, I would think. Possible title challenger implications in his future. Let's turn it over to our guy. It's been way too long. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, man. So I wanted to just take you through Ricky Simon's strength of schedule since he got into the UFC. So he won a Contender Series fight against Donovan Freelo early in the Contender Series lifespan of a show. After that, listen to this murderer's row, dude. Merab Dvalishvili, 7-2. That's your UFC debut.
Nice.
Then Montel Jackson, 6-2. Then Hani Yahya, 13-4. He beat all three of those dudes. Then he loses to Faber. Nobody saw that coming. A lot of people got rinsed that night. And then we got the loss to Rob Font, obviously a top 5, top 10 bantamweight. And that's saying a lot as a bantamweight because this division is full of killers. And then you got the wins over 7-5 Ray Borg. And then I think Perello was on short notice. He was supposed to fight somebody else. And then Brian Kelleher. So this guy takes out the trash when you need him to, but he's beating good fucking fighters too. You think it's like you said, they want to give him the name, right? Because Asen Sao's fight, he's fought everybody. Let me just get you like some of the names on. I won't go through all of them because the guy's been around forever.
Pedro Munoz, TJ Dillashaw, Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes, Uriah Faber back in the day.
Yeah. Dillashaw twice, Aljo, just all these guys, Sandhagen, Garbrandt, Moraes. I mean, there's and
Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, I know, man. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people, but he's 39 years old, the 39-year-old bantamweight. That just doesn't add up. This is a sport where there is attrition. Your body has a lifespan when you do this kind of work, You don't see any 60-year-old mixed martial artists for a reason, It's just not something that the body can do for long periods of time. This guy has fought so many minutes in the UFC. I mean, he's got almost 12,000 seconds in the UFC cage. So, and then, do you guys play DraftKings at all for MMA?
I honestly never have.
Okay. So check this out. Like, they give you points for significant strikes, landed takedowns and stuff like that. Like in DraftKings, usually when you win a fight, you're probably scoring 75 points or above. Rafael Assunção has scored less than 48 points 3 times in wins. So it goes to show you that, like, when he does win, it's like a split decision. It's a very low output fight. He's a very good, very gifted defensive boxer. He does a lot of things well. He knows how to win minutes. He knows how to limit the damage that his opponents do. He knows how to fight his game plan, frustrate his opponents, but they're low output fights. He's not a finisher, and working that against a guy like Simon, who just sells out for the takedowns and has the game plan and has the gas tank, even more importantly, to achieve that game plan. I like Simon here. I just can't bet a 39-year-old Rafael Assunção, no matter how good he is defensively, no matter how good his boxing is, no matter how gifted he is at creating these staring contests that could go either way, and then you just slip a little check to Saul D'Amato under the table, and then you get your split decision win. So I don't see Simon being that guy. You know what I'm saying? The wrestling is going to be difficult for Assunção to deal with. He does have 81% takedown defense, but not the best wrestlers. He's fighting strikers like Garbrandt, Sandhagen, Moraes, Font, Lopez. Sterling is a grappler. Dillashaw is a grappler. Caraway is, but Munoz doesn't shoot for takedowns. Vaughn Lee, Mike Easton, Issei Tamura, Johnny Eduardo, Eric Koch. The guy's been lucky not to face a lot of people that will bring a wrestling heavy game plan. He's going to see that on Saturday. I like Ricky Simon to win this fight by decision.
Hell yeah. And you know what? I just fired away live on the show here with you guys. I wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page before I went and did it, but just threw a 5 units. We had a parlay. I know Guru's gonna choke when he hears it was minus 103.
Minus 103.
Yeah.
What did you get?
Stephen Thompson and Ricky Simone parlay minus 103.
Money line?
Yeah, money line. So that's
Money
5
line.
units right there for me. And if Guru likes it, we can always throw it up on our Bet MMA page. But we can get
might
there.
have to. Yeah, we might be putting that up. We're gonna be putting that up on the Bet MMA page.
All right, guys. So stay tuned because that'll be going on. And while we talk about that, let's get to our next fight here. We got Diego Ferreira versus Mateusz Gamrot. This fight is one that I had a lot of trouble when I got back to the tape because I thought, oh, this is a setup. We're getting Gamrot to the top here. He had that little slip up in his debut. But I will tell you, when I was watching tape all the way back, I was like, Kodadaladze is actually like a little bit of a problem. I know Guru was tweeting today talking about where's he at? Where is he at? Where is he at? But the things I'm worried about with Gamrot, you look at the last two guys he's fought, and he's really put it on him. And wow, yeah, thank you for talking about the dynamic spreadsheets. My brother actually really helped me out here. Really appreciate the guy for I put him to the task, and he came up with some incredible stuff for me. And we're going to get down into some more advanced stats as we get further into the break here coming up. So can't wait to keep bringing you guys more. And Gamrot, I mean, Holtzman, Jeremy Stevens, we never thought, Stevens was a great grappler. So, yeah, a guy who's going to attack that game plan against him for sure. But
to hit that Kimura,
you're not hitting that Kimura on Diego Ferreira, not unless he's gassed out. And if he's going to be gassed out, it's because he missed weight by 5 pounds and is facing a guy that could put on a pace that I've never seen before. I don't know that Gamrot can put on a pace that's going to gas out Ferreira. And also, I think Ferreira is going to show up on weight this time. I don't think it's 2 times in a row where he's going to fuck up on the scale. And I just look at the line here, and it seems like it's come together a little bit because right now Gamrot is minus 200 on FanDuel and Ferreira is plus 160. So it's definitely closing, and maybe I missed out on the boat a little bit as far as value goes, but I'd love to see the weigh in here because, I mean, when you watch the type of fucking scrambling shit that Ferreira pulls off on tape, you don't see reversals like that from just anybody. And I don't think Gamrot can just sit on top here and position his way away. I think he really needs to hurt him on the feet, but you don't really want to fuck with Ferreira on the feet, and he's got a 3-inch reach advantage here. So this could be a super interesting fight.
Yeah, I think that is interesting the way that you are teeing it up. I'm not sure that what I saw from Gamrot on the feet, he looked so technical to me, and I just felt like Ferreira throws heavy into his strikes because he wants to like fall into the clinch and try to go to the ground and whatnot. And I just feel like Gamrot's gonna be able to hang with him down there. So I'm not really sure. I certainly can't. I don't feel comfortable putting dog money on Ferreira after how he's looked. I mean, yeah, we could say that Beneil Dariush and Gregor Gillespie are 2 of the, top 15 in the division. But yeah, I don't look at his wins. I mean, is Anthony Pettis? Is that how has Anthony Pettis looked since he's left the UFC? I mean, what does that win really do for him? Kyle Nelson, Jared Gordon back in 2018. We're going back a pretty far way now to start pulling out good things that he's done. I don't know. I think they're trying to set him up like you said. I don't know how well it's gonna go for him.
I guess I would take Gamrot, but I mean, Weezy, what are you?
Yeah, what do you
here?
say?
So, on Stat Diggers, I've got my own spreadsheets, and we got the same stats, and so when I look at this fight, I see a guy like Gamrot, right? 3 fights in the UFC, 23 takedown attempts. So like immediately right there, you're like, all right, here's a fucking guy who can stick to a game plan. Here's a guy who's bringing fights into the area where he's the most comfortable. He's not stupid. Guy was undefeated coming into the UFC and a champion in KSW for a reason. He's got a great fucking skill set all around. His striking is not just serviceable, it's above average. His wrestling is really good, and his ground game and submission grappling game is very good. Yeah. And then you go over to Diego Ferreira. Now, here's what I was looking at on Stat Diggers, right? I can just look at the aggregates, and I could see Diego Ferreira's got 66% takedown defense. He's been taken down 18 times in 12 fights. He's being taken down 2.43 times per 15 minutes. And then you look at Gamrot, and he's getting 5.35 takedowns per 15 minutes and 22.64% control time. And, and he's gotten his takedowns at about a 35% clip. So I was saying, on Stat Diggers, I was like, it looks like Gamrot's going to be able to get that wrestling game going. If he doesn't like how it's going on the feet, he should be able to win minutes on the ground. The price is justified. Diego Ferreira's takedown defense isn't good enough to bet on him. And then somebody in the chat was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, he was mad, and he's like, have you seen the fucking wrestlers that Ferreira's been facing? You're out of your mind if you think that this guy has bad takedown defense. And since the guy was so mad while Brady was talking, I went into my advanced stats and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's right. Dude, look at this guy's facing Gregor Gillespie, Daniil Dariush twice, Rustam Habilov. His first two fights were Colton Smith and Ramsey Nijam. All those guys do is wrestle. This guy has fought pretty much 2/3 of his UFC career, has been against the best wrestlers. And then so I went and I watched the tape, and I'm like, the pace of these fights, of the Gillespie fight, of the Dariush fight, of the Taisumov fight, which was a striking battle, the Pettis fight, this guy Ferreira can keep a crazy pace. There is not a person on the planet that would have outdone him besides Gregor Gillespie on that night. He won that first round against Gillespie. It looked like Gillespie was going to die on the stool after the first round. And then he came out and he pushed that exact same pace again in the second round, and it broke Diego Ferreira. That was, for pace, that was like watching Bruce Jenner in the Olympics in 1980. That was like the decathlon of pace performance. It was fantastic. It was a master class. If Gamrot puts on that kind of a pace, absolutely, he's going to win. But we haven't seen that from him yet. We just haven't. That kind of pace doesn't really exist outside of Gregor Gillespie's wrestling heavy game plan. So I have a bet on Diego Ferreira. It's a small bet. It's 3/4 of a unit, but it's at plus 160. And his striking, in my opinion, is better. His ground game is really good. And when you saw in the Kutu Talatse fight that Gamrot can get takedowns, but he necessarily can't keep you there. I mean, for a guy who has 23 takedown attempts in 3 fights, 8 takedown attempts per fight, 2 of these fights have finished inside the distance, you guys. He hasn't even controlled his opponents for 25% of his cage time. That's going to be what he needs to do to win minutes in this fight. And Diego Ferreira facing some of the best wrestlers in the entire UFC in the lightweight division here. Dariush twice and Gillespie once is just enough. We don't even need to mention the other guys, but believe me, they're there. He's only being controlled 22% of his UFC career. So I like this matchup for Ferreira. I think it's going to be a very close fight. I think these guys are extremely well matched. And if you want to talk about strength of schedule, it's all Ferreira.
It is. No, that's fair. And I just thought his Gamrot's cardio looked so good, and he took that Kutaladze fight on short notice and still came back to win that 3rd round. He's shown incredible cardio, trains with ATT. So that's why I guess I was comfortable leaning there. But man, you drive a damn hard bargain. It's hard to stick to your guns listening to you, man. That's for damn sure. So I really appreciate. Yeah, right. I really appreciate that.
I was right there with you, and then somebody fucking yelled at me, and I'm like, "This dude's pissed." And then it was the passion that guy brought to it that got me to look deeper, because you always have to look a little bit deeper, but there's only so many hours in the day. So when he did that to me, I went and I looked at the stats. Then I went back and I looked at the tape, and I'm like, man, this guy's right. This is a lot closer than what the line is telling me.
I totally got that feeling, that little tingle. And when I see the early line movement like that, it sometimes makes me pause and think like, oh, you missed the value. But at the end of the day, you're still getting a plus 160 right now. And that's plenty of value, especially when talent-wise, I think Ferreira was like even money with Dariush. He was basically even money with Gillespie. And now he's a plus 160 against a guy that is nowhere near as proven in the UFC, at least. I know he had that big KSW run, but I mean, he's let us down one time as a -2 something favorite. Why not this time too? I'm not running to play Gamrot, and I totally think that that Ferreira has a lot of value. I just want to see him come in on the scale on weight before I throw my money on him, just because of what happened last time. But will more value be gone?
I think if you're playing Ferreira, why not play the Ferreira and the over 1.5? Like, if he's gonna get a finish or go to decision, like I don't think he's gonna get a finish right away in the first round. I think that'll come as Gamrot, quote unquote, starts to gas or fade as you're saying Ferreira would apply this extra pressure. You can get Ferreira and over 1.5 at plus 200, but
yeah, I mean
that
it's
over
definitely an
1.5 is
angle.
interesting.
Just by the way you guys tee it up, you guys, you're gonna pull my leg to make me play something plus 200. Oh, all right, I'll figure it out. Rather than get some apple pie shitter and Gamrot, which is totally possible because it can't be Lemos, and Ricky Simone and Wonderboy. Like, it can't be chalk and chalk and chalk all day long. I mean, it can, right? But it's not going to be. We have to find which one is the landmine, and I think we got our bomb sniffing dog here to Uncle Weezy to find it, because I think this one smells a little fishy.
Yeah, it's not, and I don't want to say that I'm not really impressed by Gamrot, because I am. I'm extremely impressed by this guy. He's a great fucking fighter. He's got all the skills. He's well-rounded. He's everything that you want in somebody that you want to bet on. But Ferreira's been there and done that for 12 UFC fights. The win-to-loss ratio of his competition is 2.6 to 1. That's really, really, really high. This guy's been fighting the best fighters in the division, and it takes a lot to beat him.
Very well.
Absolutely. Very well said. Let's move right along, because we're breaking these guys down.
Yeah. we got Cub Swanson versus Darren Elkins. We'll do our best now that we've gotten out of the biggest fights here on the card. Now we can really start setting a pace here for you guys. So here we go. I mean, this is one of those fights you love to see in the UFC, because sometimes I feel like the older guys get thrown to the younger guys, and it's like you don't really get to enjoy their later years. I'd love to see the Cub Swanson versus Darren Elkins fights. And one thing that makes me curious in this fight is Cub Swanson going to get to set his volume from range and set the pace? Because if he does, based on optics, blood, overall volume, he's going to win those exchanges. The real question is Darren Elkins going to push a grappling pace if he doesn't get taken down or pushed into the clinch first himself? I don't necessarily trust Darren the Damage to do that for me. And I do understand, like, I have a tough time really trusting the line as far as like, oh man, like you got to play Cub Swanson at minus 195 compared to Elkins at plus 165. I'm not saying that I'm out here going to play the line on Cub Swanson. I don't necessarily feel like this is the underdog spot that it might have been last time when we saw Elkins versus Derrick Minner. Cub Swanson, he does have grappling experience, and he has been in a very a lot of bad grappling positions, but I don't know that Elkins is going to put him there necessarily. And I really just ultimately love for this fight to kind of go a long time, and minus 135 for it to go the distance. It might get ugly. You might see, some bad positions, or you might see a lot of blood. I mean, you're going to see a lot of blood, but yeah, I just think that this is going to be one of those. They hold up their arms at the end. They hug each other a ton. And you're like, wow, we really got to enjoy these guys, as like a really respected fight. That's my angle here. What are you guys seeing?
This is a really interesting fight. You got to be on Cub here from my point of view. At least a little, like, at least that's how I lean to at the very beginning, because I mean, we were on, whether it was stupid or not, right? I guess we were on Cub over Giga, which was just like brutal, right? With the Giga kick straight to the liver. Cub has shown, Cub is Cub, man. He keeps his hands down low. Don't really know where the strikes are coming from. Loves his boxing. He's good jiu-jitsu, but kind of showing a little bit much of a propensity to kind of play off his back. So he had a bunch of losses there right before he came out as a huge underdog against Kron Gracie to pull off that upset, and then pulled off another upset against Daniel Pineda, right? So then he's kind of Pick'em versus. No, he wasn't. Wasn't he Pick'em versus Giga? Wasn't that fight Pick'em?
He was a little bit of a dog, but not too steep. I don't think
Right.
they were.
But
Fully
I'm pretty sure that line flipped as you got to close. Like I'm pretty sure you could have gotten Giga at plus money right as that fight kicked off. So yeah, I just don't think at this stage of his career, like Darren Elkins, I mean, yeah, he's shown an ability to finish guys that gas out, but like we just watched Darrick Minner do the same thing he just did. Like he is embarrassed to all hell about his Darren Elkins performance. So, has a whole press conference that, whatever, like talks about it and then comes out and does the same thing versus Ryan Hall. Like he gasses out and can't get up. So Eduardo Gargori, like they signed him for that fight in Uruguay. It wasn't that he was so good or really belonged. So, those are his 2 wins. Otherwise, he's got losses to Ryan Hall, Landwehr, and Lamas and Volkanovski we can forgive. But it's a long way of the days that he beat Michael Johnson, Bermudez, and Mizrad Bektik. So I just think Cub Swanson is ready for a rebound here in a close fight. So you're probably right. It goes the distance. I almost thought at the beginning maybe you want to fade the narrative here. Is this one of the fights you fade the narrative? Maybe it doesn't go the distance. More recently, their fights have like kind of not gone the distance, right? Each of their last 2 fights for both of them have not gone the distance. Actually, Darren Elkins' last 3 fights have not gone the distance. No, just kidding. His last 3 wins have not gone the distance. But 2 of his last 3 fights have not gone the distance. And exactly, same thing for, for Cub.
So what is there a play on this fight that caught your eye, Weezy? What are you thinking?
Not really. I'm really looking forward to this fight. And when you got, 2 studs like Darren and Cub, absolute ambassadors for the sport, some of the best to ever do it. I'm going to really just sit back and enjoy this one. I think Cub Swanson does win this fight. Cub does a good job of keeping his fights on the feet. When he does get taken down, he kind of gets back up, and Elkins does a good job of out-controlling his opponents. More than 50% of his fights take place in control time positions, which is good for a grappler like him. He's got a great wrestling background. He's going to go to that. But when it's on the feet, it's going to be Cub. And when I went back and I watched that Daniel Pineda fight, it made me realize that Cub still wants to win because he could have given up in that one. His legs were getting destroyed. Pineda destroyed his lead calf there. He came back. He clearly wanted it. He clearly still had the desire to fight, and Elkins will never. Elkins will be getting in fucking scraps in the nursing home, man. So he's never going to stop. So I can't wait for this fight. But as
the way he fights, he's going to be there in 3 years.
Yeah, I know, dude. That's for sure, man. He's going to be the youngest guy in there. But I mean, he's just. How do you say a bad word about either one of these guys? They're both awesome. I can't wait for this fight. I'm just not going to bet it. I was thinking about going on Elkins earlier, but the level of competition and the striking discrepancy is just too much. And Cub kind of keeps fights on the feet just long enough in order for me to say, you know what, I'm staying away. It's too wide to bet Cub. It's not juicy enough to bet Darren. I'm going to just sit back and enjoy an awesome fight.
Hell yeah.
Definitely a better strategy.
I'm with you on that. And
fight of the night?
It's okay to take a step back. It could be so and that's good. Yeah, that's where my go the distance thing, like, I'm not going to be hammering anything, but like, yeah, I mean, I would love to see a fight that goes the distance with that. And good stuff, Weezy. Everyone's appreciating it. Us, DAZ, we all love the takes you're bringing, man.
We missed a funny comment before. What was that comment before? I missed that. That was the tattoo versus the. That was a good one. Shout out.
Scar tissue Elkins versus.
Yeah, there it is. Sore liver guy. Yeah, I like that one. That was funny.
Yeah, so we got our next fight here, and man, we got another wide line. You got Dustin Stoltzfus and Gerald Muirshart, the battle of the difficult European last names. But you got it minus 235 for Gerald Muirshart. I mean, that's quite the shift from when he was like a plus 500 underdog to Mahmoud Muradov. And yeah, I mean, listen, ultimately for me, I do see Stoltzfus gas out in the third round in both of his UFC fights so far. One time getting finished, one time not. Gerald Muirshart has definitely shown that he can hang on, that he can go the distance, that he can fight a different variety of fights. But I don't think Stoltzfus's skills are so bad necessarily. I do think that, facing Kyle Dawkis and then facing
Rodolfo Vieira.
Rodolfo Vieira, I mean, that's a tough task to make your debut in the UFC. And plus 190, plus 198 on FanDuel. Stoltzfus, maybe just like a little sprinkle. But I can't find myself to play Gerald Muirshart as like a steep favorite like this. Even if I do end up picking him to win, I can't imagine myself playing him as a bet here.
So I completely understand and agree with you on that fact, because like if I was gonna play Gerald Mearshart, you have to love playing him as a dog. You don't love seeing him as a moderate size favorite here. With all that being said, I took Dustin Stoltzfus in his last fight versus Rodolfo Vieira because I was like, oh, he can't be as bad as he looked against, Kyle Dawkis. There's got to be something redeeming there. He still seemed to show complete lack of head movement. I mean, he's getting outstriked by Rodolfo Vieira. It was really, really poor to watch. Sometimes, and then I'll flip it in reverse here. Sometimes when you win a fight you're not supposed to, they punish you. It seems to me Gerald Mearshart won a fight he wasn't supposed to, and they're rewarding him here. Dustin Stoltzfus, what is he? He's not going to threaten him so much with a knockout or power or anything. And Gerald Mearshart's not going to be threatened on the ground in terms of getting submitted or something. So this seems to be a spot where Gerald Mearshart should be able to get on top, and or just just get the win. And that's probably the spot where you need to be most cautious of Gerald Mearshart, because when he's expected to do well is when he doesn't do so hot. But I like the fight not to go the distance, right, at minus 175. That's not a terrible line. I don't think. Maybe we should be looking to fade the narrative here. I don't know. I think if Stoltzfus is going to get a win, right, he's going to knock out Mearshart, right, or finish, right, because Mearshart gets finished quite often, or it seems to be gets finished or goes to a split decision. And I would think that if Mearshart wins, he's going to get the sub on a tired Stoltzfus. You get a better read than me or either of us on this, Uncle Weezy?
Yeah, not particularly. I think the line is about where it should be. And you were saying that they, will usually punish a guy who would get a win that he was supposed to. Well, they tried to. They tried to give him Absupian Magomedov.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up.
Opponent. And Stoltzfus was supposed to fight somebody else. Stoltzfus' opponent fell out.
And then he was supposed to fight Caio Borralho, the dude with stick neck tattoo.
I like that dude, man. I like that
crazy.
dude. I cashed bets on that cat, and I'm in his fan club right now. I'm waiting for him to make that debut, because I love people that know when they're good grapplers to go to that grappling and just suffocate and break their opponents, and he's one of the guys that does that. So, but yeah, you guys kind of wrapped it up pretty good when you talked about this fight. One of the things that I said about Rodolfo Vieira back when he lost to Anthony Hernandez was he's got the worst striking in the middleweight division. And then I saw him go out there and outstrike Stoltzfus, and I was like, all right, one of two things happened. Either Stoltzfus now has the worst striking in the 185-pound division, or Vieira went back and made some serious adjustments and made some serious improvements. And that's possible too. But I just kind of think Gerald's better than him everywhere. I mean, look, dude, 33 career wins, 31 of them are finishes. This guy's a finisher. You can't fake that. You can't get lucky 31 times and 33 wins. This guy fights in a way that he likes to finish fights. When you're talking about 33 wins and, and a 100% finish rate in your 8 UFC wins, and he's getting finished because he has 14 losses, and 78% of those have come inside the distance. That's 11 of 14 losses. So fight doesn't go to decision. Feels like it's not quite juiced enough. That might be where the value is on this fight. I'm picking Gerald Muirshart to win inside the distance. But I'm not running to the window to bet.
Yeah, I mean, it's plus 100 right now, and typically you see those types of lines inside the distance for guys that are like super hype prospects and, you know, like huge up and comers. And that's really what makes me hesitant here, because like, yeah, that is the most likely way that this goes. But I don't know why that sketches me out so much.
It feels like a stay away fight for me, but I'm a big fan of Muirshart, and I like Stoltzfus. He seems like he's a real smart kid that thinks about what he does in there, you know, and he makes smart decisions as well in the cage. So,
okay,
you know, should be a good fight, absolutely. But I'm picking Muirshart to win inside the distance.
Yeah, I hate to be chalky, exactly, but I think another favorite rolls here, guys. So I like Gerald Muirshart as well inside the distance. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and rolling right along here, we got Raoni Barcelos versus. This is another short notice opponent because you know, but Trevin Jones keeps on ducking the Barcelos train here. What is that, the second time now? Listen, I don't blame anybody.
Tapology page, like the last 7 opponents, either they dropped out or he dropped out. If you don't ever sign up to fight Trevin Jones, the fight won't happen.
or Luke Rockhold.
Yeah, that's too.
So we got
that guy's the worst.
Oh man, that's great. Monkey Chronic Combat 22 and Weezy for Prez 2024. You gotta love it.
We love that, man.
Right out there. So yeah, I mean, listen, Barcelos here. Did he even really lose that fight to Timur Valiev? When you go back and watch, I thought it's a draw, if anything, right? But at most, and even so, you could probably say that Barcelos should have won that fight. Still, I don't see how someone so patient, technical, high output, high level grappling, high level wrestling, high level gas tank is going to lose to, I mean, and I say this in the most respectful way possible, but a guy like Victor Henry coming up on short notice, making his debut, and, you know, really getting a contract for accepting a beatdown from Barcelos. I don't know if it happens inside the distance. I don't know if it happens, whatever, but, and you know what? Maybe the MMA gods decide, you know, they won't gift Barcelos his chin going into this fight because Henry does crash forward. He's aggressive. He's never been finished. So does Barcelos finish him? And maybe it's just because Henry hasn't faced a UFC level opponent, especially one of Barcelos' level. So I don't see a line on an inside the distance anywhere yet. But is there an over-under?
I can check here. Nope. No lines for us. So we got -3. Oh, you got it.
I've got -130 for the under 2.5, plus 100 over 2.5, and the fight doesn't go to decision, sitting between -110 and -120.
Yeah, it doesn't really take.
I understand that there's a lot of uncertainty, and for that reason, I mean, Barcelos is -335. I'd certainly play that over Lemos at -400. I'll tell you that.
Agreed.
Just as far as like a comparison, you know, like and the type of level of fighter, the type of tape you have, the background, the history, those are the type of lines I'd rather take a chance on. But I'm not going to put him in my biggest parlay.
No, I honestly feel pretty damn good about Raoni Barcelos here as long as his weight cut goes all right. Yeah, he lost that fight to Timur Valiev in my opinion, but he pushed Timur Valiev to the brink. We saw the best Timur Valiev because of the fight Raoni Barcelos brought to him. And that's a good thing for fight fans and for Timur Valiev, honestly, because that will just, you know, continue to get him to the next level. Victor Henry here, I mean, I think he probably deserves to be in the UFC, right? I think he's one of those guys that probably was going to get the call up. You know what? He's 34. Maybe he wasn't going to get the call. It was kind of now or never for him. He fought Kyler Phillips 3 years ago, won a split decision in a fight where Kyler Phillips classically looked fantastic in round 1 and then gassed out super shockingly in, you know, rounds later in round 2 and then certainly in round 3. So yeah, Victor Henry, you know, has dedicated his life to this and, you know, is kind of like you put so nicely, willing to get the 3-fight contract with the Devil here to maybe get a beating from Ronnie Barcelos. And I do think that that's what's coming. I think if a finish does come, I think it's the pace that Barcelos sets, because when you talk about pace, you can't not talk about that Timur Valiev and Ronnie Barcelos fight, because that pace was crazy. So I think if a finish comes, it's by maybe over 1.5, and in that respect. So maybe that's the play when that line finally opens up. Maybe we get Barcelos and over 1.5.
No,
But
what do you think?
I don't think there's any dog play here. But maybe Uncle Weezy's got some extra tape or some extra sauce for us. What do you got, Uncle Weezy?
Yeah, I got this one down as my ass shaving of the week.
There it is. I was wondering which one is going to be the ass shaving of the week. Put it up, Tyler. Where's the bet at TV?
Yeah,
we got you, Weezy. We got you.
Henry.
I meant to bring that up earlier.
The thing about Barcelos is, this guy's a 34-year-old bantamweight right now. So, it's coming towards the end for him. And yes.
There it is, the ass shaving of the week.
It's the Weezy special.
That's right, man. That's right. And it's, I've been a fan of this guy for a minute. I thought he won that Valiev fight. I thought that fight could have been easily stopped in the second round. He was murdering him on top and had him in a whole ton of trouble. And, one of the things, just to go off on a tangent here for a second, one of the things that pisses me off more than anything in MMA is where you have, like, let's say a first round that was a coin flip, right? And then the second round, fighter A goes out there and just shaves ass, 10-8s the guy, right? And then in the third round, it's another 50-50 round. Why wouldn't you as a judge remember what happened in the previous round and say, I'm going to give, if the third round is 50-50 and it's a coin flip, why not give it to the guy that was winning the fight? And that's exactly what happened in that Barcelos Valiev fight. Was first round was super close. Second round, Barcelos murdered him, and the fight should have been stopped. And then in the third round, it wasn't like Valiev went out there and put a pace on him and kicked his ass. It was 50-50. Barcelos was actually landing the harder shots. And then these judges, they go out there and they give it to Valiev, and they pretend like round 2 wasn't a 10-8. He got absolutely robbed. So this guy should be 17-1 right here. And he's a better boxer. He's a better wrestler. He uses control time positions very well. He even has got some submissions on his record. But like when you look at the metrics, this guy outcontrols his opponents at a 6-1 rate on the ground. He has 56% takedown accuracy, 92% takedown defense. He lands over one significant strike more than he absorbs. He has 66% striking defense and 53% striking accuracy and 4 knockdowns in 6 UFC fights. I mean, this guy does everything well. And one thing that you watch on the tape when you watch Victor Henry is when this guy gets put on his back, he gets stuck there. So a guy who's shooting takedowns and getting them at a 56% clip, who's out controlling his opponents at a 6-1 ratio, it seems like he can win minutes on the feet. Seems like he can win minutes on the ground. Anywhere, it's going to be Ronnie Barcelos all day, any way he wants it.
Damn it. Yeah. You did it. I was starting to feel it the more I talked about it, and then just to get Weezy to drop his ass shaving of the week. Boys, that parlay before it's been cashed out. Take that minus 103, turn it to it's looking like a plus 156 now that we had a Barcelos in. That
you know how I feel about the plus money, boys.
That's the plus money that Guru was waiting for.
We love it. We love it. Oh my goodness! And listen, and look, he beat Khalid Taha and Said Nurmagomedov too. We don't need to just keep banking on that Timur Valiev loss. I mean, Khalid Taha, maybe he had that little doping problem, but again, like a talented guy, and Said Nurmagomedov, same idea, really talented. So really, really
put
good
it on Khalid.
Oh, and he
Taha.
beat the and he beat the dark horse of the division on a current 5-fight win streak, Chris Leg Kicks Gutierrez. That's Chris Gutierrez's last loss. Lock it in, Ronnie Barcelos.
The only concern for me is a third round gas out, like he kind of did, because Barcelos kind of gassed out like Leonardo Santos did against Clay Guida. He trying to finish the fight in the second round.
That was epic. That was an epic
that was a
gas out.
great fucking fight, though. Victor Henry does have great conditioning, but he doesn't put a pace like
Short
Valio
notice.
does. I think, and it's short notice too. He's only going to have so much in the tank. I like
nerves too. Nerves. He's gonna come out there and go swinging for one, and then that adrenaline dump, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, is this talk about greasy, all that stuff? I mean, we got a nice parlay
this guy,
together.
This guy Harry Hunsucker, man, he's rolling himself in some grease before he gets in the ring there.
Now, here's a quick question I have for you, because this is mirrored lines as far as DraftKings go. We're looking at, you can get Raoni Barcelos at minus 335, or you can get Justin Tuffa at minus 335. What the fuck do you think I'm choosing?
We talk about this all the time on our show, Uncle Weezy. A fighter has to earn the line. He has to earn that respect. He or she has to earn that respect, right? And when you bring that up, that those are mirrored lines, who do you feel more confident in? Whether Tuffa's going to win or not, which I do think he's going to. Whether Tuffa's going to win or not, who do you feel is going to fight for your money? Who do you actually trust? Who's been out there and actually earned something? Like, who's earned that check? Not to digress too much, but coming back to Dominic Cruz almost getting knocked out, right? Like, we were nervous, TB and I, watching that fight together for a split second. And I'm like, dude, if you should feel good about anybody getting rocked and then gonna fight for your money through all hell, it's got to be Dominic Cruz, because he's not. You're gonna have to separate him from consciousness, or have Peterson in there smoking cigarettes or something.
All right, you got to reel the guru back in real quick.
All right, yes.
All right, bring it back home, baby. Bring it back home.
So this fight, I think Tuffa gets the finish, man. I just don't think Hunsucker is UFC material. And I certainly don't think he's even like heavyweight material, right? Isn't he like supposed to really be like a light heavyweight and just not? No, he's is he every bit? He's 250.
He could easily make 205 if he was lean,
dieting. Yeah,
but I mean, I don't think a lot of these guys. You don't want to move down in weight if you're not fast, man. And Harry's kind of fast for the heavyweight division, but he's not fast for the light heavyweight division, dude.
I felt like Taffa beat Carlos Felipe, and you
can make the argument for sure, definitely statistically.
And Jared Vanderaa is a good, relatively good point fighter, so I get it, and probably had the athleticism over him in that respect. But I think it's Taffa's time to get back in the win column here. I just don't.
For the love of God, just don't touch the money line. For the love of God, whatever the fuck you do, just please don't bet the money line on this fight. Whatever you do,
no, definitely
Weezy, I mean,
not.
Unless Weezy, you got a money line.
Yeah, right.
No, I echo your sentiments 100%. I said on Stack Tickers earlier in the week, please, for the love of Jah, do not bet the money line on Justin Taffa. Like we were just saying, you could get a guy like Barcelos at minus 335. Or you could get a guy like Justin Taffa at minus 335. And what's Justin Taffa good at? He hits hard. What's Ronnie Barcelos good at? He's good at everything.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing where here's my mantra. You guys were saying, like, you got to earn that minus 300 moniker. If you're betting and you're laying minus 300, you got to earn it, right?
Sure.
But there's two types of fights where somebody's minus 300. There's the really, really, really fucking good fighter who's fighting not quite as good of a fighter that's minus 300. And then there's the shit fighter who's fighting the incredibly, really, really, really shitty fighter. And the shit fighter is Taffa. And the really, really, really shitty fighter is Hunsucker. And you're thinking to yourself, but you see, what you're doing is, instead of taking that guy that's up here in the 95th percentile, the George St. Pierre, the Amanda Nunes before the Pena fight, the Kamaru Usmans, the Nurmagomedovs. You know what I'm talking about. The guys that just cash bets over Demetrius Johnson, right? Those are the guys that you lay minus 300 on. You don't lay minus 300 on a guy just because he's fighting a bum. Because the other guy here in Justin Taffa, he's got 7 professional fights. You know how many takedown attempts he's faced in the UFC? One in 4 fights. What does his ground game look like? You don't know. and you're laying minus 335 on him, on a guy that couldn't knock out Carlos Felipe, on a guy that couldn't knock out Jared Vandera, on a guy that got slept by fucking Jorgen De Castro.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So if you're gonna bet Tafa, bet him by first round knockout. That's his only path to victory. Harry Hunsucker has never been out of the first round. He's never made it past the 3.5 minute mark. This fight is going to end in the first 5 minutes, and somebody's going to win. But Harry Hunsucker by first round knockout is plus 1,000. Tafa by first round knockout is like something like plus 135, or not even. Maybe he might even be like minus 150 inside the distance or something. So it's a huge stay away from me. Am I picking Tafa? Yeah, of course. Am I betting him?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah.
And Weezy, thank you. I'm glad that we see eye to eye on that, because it's that's a scary one to get into. And honestly, you know what? Some people might say some similar things when I get into this next fight and what the play that I want to make. But I'm actually seeing some good reasons here. I mean, we got in our next fight, it's Melissa Gatto and Sajar Eubanks. I really think the Eubanks at 125 movement, as far as the grappling perspective goes, I mean, I think it's a completely different fighter when she's fighting people, the size that she's supposed to. Gatto is going to be very accepting of some takedown positions. And when you break down the stats for Eubanks at flyweight compared to bantamweight, it's really interesting to see the difference and really the efficiency in grappling for Eubanks at flyweight. I know that there's, the story out there that Eubanks gasses, and you know what? In the past, that very well might have been the truth, but I think that there's been this huge movement in MMA. You see it with Aldo, you see it Barboza. I don't think Eubanks was getting the best coaching as far as diet, workout, everything else in the past.
Conditioning.
And conditioning really comes in at 125 in great shape. And you know what? The black belt she has, the wrestling experience she has, I haven't really seen anyone put her in danger as far. I mean, she's never been finished before. And Gatto, I don't know that I can trust her to put on a pace from distance against a fighter that can actually threaten with power, because Victoria Leonardo doesn't threaten with anything, if we're going to be honest. So you can kind of throw those stats out the window when you're talking about that. It was nice to see her come back, fight well. But, I mean, Gatto, I don't really see a reason why I would want to play at plus 140. Eubanks at minus 160 is actually a super fair line, and I think maybe even undervalued.
I do. I think you're right. I think it is quite a little bit undervalued here. I'm not really sure. That's what gives me pause, honestly. It's like, what am I missing? Why isn't Eubanks one of our big favorites here?
Well, have you seen Gatto's Instagram page?
Is it that she's fire?
I mean, she's fire. She's fire. Is it the Kibosh effect?
You pay a tax on nice-looking female fighters. It's just how the betting goes. It's a real thing, you guys.
Yeah. No, so that's fair. So, I mean, if that's the reason, I respect that. I mean, you've got Eubanks, who's like the exact opposite, no disrespect, in terms of that sort of, look that we're going to be giving somebody. But, she's 11 years older. At what's her freaking record? It's the ugliest record I've ever seen in my life.
She's got a 7-6 pro record and a 5-4 UFC record.
Yeah, horrible. But her losses to Aspen Ladd, Caitlin Vieira, and Penny Kianzad, when you look back, those aren't exactly the worst losses ever, right? That's actually pretty decent competition there. And one of the things I saw on tape is that, right? So we know that Eubanks is going to probably have the striking advantage. I think that's a pretty fair statement. And then we know that Gatto's a jiu-jitsu player, right? Kimura wins, armbar wins, right? So she's way too willing to sit in guard and play off her back. If you play off your back with Eubanks trying to catch arm bars, I think you're just going to be catching elbows and pressure instead, because she smashes. So I'm going with a chalky Eubanks here, but I guess not super chalky at minus 160. But these type of super favorite cards make me feel a bit like a bad handicapper. I don't know. What do you think? What do you got here, Weezy? Anything?
So when I started off the week, I was looking at Gatto as an underdog, and I was very intrigued, right? Watching the tape on the Leonardo fight, it's almost like with Gatto, you have to watch just the Leonardo tape because prior to that, there was like a 3-year layoff. And
Yeah.
Melissa Gatto is only 25 years old. So you always have to take that into consideration. You think to yourself, all right, we saw the Rosa fight where she got the Kimura submission, and then she takes 3 years off. I believe there was a suspension in there, if I'm not mistaken. But was there?
Yeah, I believe I remember talking about that because trying to tape her for the Leonardo fight, all we had was the Rosa fight.
Exactly.
It was terrible.
So, it's hard to go back into somebody's career and even watch those fights when they're 21, 20, and think that it applies, now. But we saw much upgraded striking from Melissa Gatto. And then when you watch her on the ground, she's so aggressive on the ground, whether she's on top or whether she's on the bottom. But what she's aggressive to a fault because she'll lose position. And that's just, you can't grapple that way against Sajar Eubanks. She's very position over submission oriented. And I actually think that Gatto might be a little bit better on the feet. From what I saw in the Leonardo fight, those 3 years that she took off, she made major improvements in her striking, and it showed in the Leonardo fight. Now, Sajar has boxed against much better boxers. We have to we don't want to get too far out over our skis about the performance that Gatto had against Leonardo here, but Eubanks is 3-0 at 125. She's 2-4 at 135, and she was fighting really good competition up there. There's not a lot on the ground that she's going to have to deal with from Gatto that she wasn't already dealing with in the Avila fight, in the Vieira fight, in any of the other fights that she had at 135. So as the weeks went on, as I've talked with some other minds that I really respect here, it does look like Sajar Eubanks is the side. And whenever you're betting Sajar Eubanks to win a fight against a tough opponent, just better by decision. You're going to get more odds on that. You're going to get a little bit more comfortable. And Eubanks only has one win inside the distance in her UFC career, and it was against, a strawweight who took the fight on short notice, Elise Reed. So, the pick is Eubanks by decision here. I think that Gatto's overcommitment to trying to get submissions against a black belt experienced grappler like Eubanks, I think she's going to use her top pressure, use that position over submission grappling to win a ton of minutes on the ground here and get a unanimous decision win.
I am totally with you on that. And one of the
no discord between us today, huh? We were all in agreement here.
I feel like we had a few, maybe not ones that we were digging our heels in on too much, but we've had some conflicting ideas.
It's a chalky card. It's a weird, it's a strange one.
Yeah, I came with that Hill, hey, look, I mean, I think Lemos wins this fight, but after that first round, man, if you've got like 4 units on Lemos to win one, and Lemos goes huffing and puffing back to the stool, you might be a little bit nervous. But
definitely,
when you got a chalky card like this, there's basically one fight that's close, and it's the curtain jerker. It's Sales Levitt. That's the one that's close to pick 'em, and then everything else is just like minus 200 or above. It feels like.
Yeah, you're totally right.
What
are you drinking? What are you drinking over there, Uncle Weezy? I've been so curious this whole time, man.
Yeah, I have an Old Irving Brewery Beezer double IPA right
yes,
here.
my double IPA, man. Love that.
It's 11 o'clock Chicago time. It's midnight over there, man. I'm enjoying. I'm unwinding with a beverage while I talk with a couple of great guys about MMA.
We love that, man. Cheers to you.
Chat, What a dude. We love it. I mean, ultimately, we have a fight parlay that we love going to the well with on DraftKings. They love giving you fighter and over 1.5. It's not posted yet for this fight, but that's something I'm very interested in for Eubanks because I love that decision also. They still don't have that line posted either. But to mitigate some of the risk when it gets into the sketchier later moments, you don't have to worry about as many gas tanks, and you still might be able to get some plus money.
We have that line on FanDuel. Soraya Eubanks by decision is plus 150. Gatto by submission plus 600.
But I'm saying and the over 1.5 was the one that I
don't right. Yeah, so that's
we'll see where that gets posted because that might be one of my official plays.
alt rounds. You can get
I liked Eubanks at -160, but Eubanks by decision at +150 on FanDuel. I think I might have to make that an official bet. That feels right.
You can also, if you wanna save yourself a little bit and pay a little bit more in the vig, you can get Soraya Eubanks round 3 or decision +120. So if she gets that late,
as well.
She gets that late finish, you're safe.
FanDuel's got those great props, man.
They do.
They really talk me into a lot of bets I would have never made by making them just a little bit juicier, man. They're good at that.
For sure. Yeah. What was the bet I hit the other? I played I played Aldo. I was playing Aldo, and they had a prop. It was Aldo by unanimous decision. I'm like, okay, I'll take that too. plus 350 or 450 or something. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Nice. That was a great fight for Aldo.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, this is there's a lot of angles you could take on that. Seems like we all kind of agree on the side. This next fight, once again, feeling a little LeBron toss it up in the air, a little chalky. We got Andre Yule versus Charles Jourdain, and I was looking into the stats earlier this week, texting Guru a little bit, and I was like, wow, Charles Jourdain, anytime he faces more than 2 minutes of opponent control, I mean, he's 0-3-1. And then you just go over and look at Andre Yule, and you see that his average control differential is like almost 4 times as bad as Jourdain's, and you're like, wait, so the guy that whenever he gets the range and is allowed to strike without grappling pressure in his face and, can really open up. I mean, Yule moving up in weight here. I don't feel great about him, even with the reach advantage, the 6-inch reach advantage. He doesn't necessarily use it to his advantage on a consistent basis. And I think Jourdain younger, quicker, and out to prove something after an embarrassing loss. And he's less of a favorite in this fight than he was against Erosa. And I do think that this is a step down in opponent from Julian Erosa to Andre Yule, making a desperate move up as his UFC career could be coming to a close. Maybe I'm being a little too finite or a little bit too definite in my approach here, but I just don't think that Yule is going to bring the type of grappling pressure that is going to threaten Jourdain away from winning with his distance striking.
Yeah, I got to be honest, and I want to say this as respectfully as possible. Man, I really don't like either of these guys, man. Andre Yule has just been one of the most disappointing, boring fighters with his split decision wins against Irwin Rivera and Jonathan Martinez. And then you look at somebody like Charles Jourdain, who's been, I feel like, a -200 favorite in like 5 fights in a row, 4 fights in a row. I think it's now actually literally 5 fights in a row since his Andre Feely fight. I guess that would be 4 fights. No, this would be his 5th. I said that already. I'll be okay. I came into this fight right before you guys got to talk. I'm like, I don't have a play on this. Fuck it. But as I started to do a little flipping, how about we take this fight to go the distance at +108? Like, Andre Yule is not gonna finish Charles Jourdain. Right. I mean, it's like, I feel like, because the way to finish Charles Jourdain is to overwhelm him with pressure till he gasses and put him out. Then on the other side, you got Jourdain, who, yeah, he might be live for that KO at +210, but Andre Yule's only gotten finished. What was that? Was it that one time now? No, he's gotten finished. Twice. No, he got finished twice. No, more than that, actually.
Andre Yule's been finished a ton.
Yeah, wait, I just
2
realized
knockouts, yeah.
2 knockouts, right. He's been choked out a lot.
Yeah. It's just, and Jourdain's got a brown belt, so I just don't see a way, like you're saying, that Yule threatens Jourdain. I mean, Weezy, do you see anything different there?
Okay, so here's how I would play the time props for this fight, right? I wouldn't touch him. What I would do is I would say, if I'm on the Yule side, I'm betting him to win by decision, because Andre Yule has 4 wins at bantamweight. He hasn't finished any of them. And Charles Jourdain has 4 losses, and he's only been finished once in 4 losses, and that was by submission, and that's not Yule's game. Now, the other side of that, though, is that Charles Jourdain in 11 wins has a 100% finish rate in those wins. And Yule, in his 8 losses, has been finished in 5 of 8 losses, and in 3 of his 4 UFC losses. So, like, instead of take the time props and throw them out, because it feels to me like they're launched to one fighter or the other. If you're betting the over, it's kind of like you feel like Yule's winning. And if you bet in the under, it feels like you're betting that Jordan is winning. So the way that I would play this is either Yule by decision, if you're on the Yule side, at plus 325. Or if you don't want to pay minus 200 for Jordan to win, you could take him inside the distance because the guy has crazy power. And Yule's moving up a weight class. He's been feeling bantamweight power, not featherweight power. So that would be the way where if you're on the Jordan side, you could say, okay, I'm going to bet him to win inside the distance. He's got a 100% finish rate. And in the 11 wins, 100% finish rate, and in Yule's 8 losses, 5 of those 8 losses have come inside the distance. 11 plus 5 is 16 out of 19. That's like an 85% implied probability right there. And you're getting that bet at much cheaper than 85% implied probability. So that's how I would play the props in this one. But you know what, guys? I'm not touching this one. I can't lay that kind of money on Jordan and Yule moving up a weight class. It's a stay away fight for me.
Guru, I appreciate you trying to get on the play there, but I was gonna say, like, as much as I feel like Jordan is like the rightful favorite here, he's done nothing in his career to tell me, like, what is he, 2-3-1 in his UFC career? Is it?
Yep.
So what tells me I should be betting him at a 66% rate when he's giving you that big of a sample size? He's probably going to win. I'll circle him. I'll pick him on Tapology. If you want to follow us, on there, whatever, you're like, that's the guy we'll predict to win. But I don't feel good like recommending you to bet anything on this fight, as Weezy's saying. And Guru, I think
bet this fight to go split. Bet this fight to be a split decision. How about that? I don't know why. I just feel like somewhere in my lizard brain that I don't think either of these guys is going to put each other out. I don't know why, but I'll be really stupid when there's a finish in 30 seconds. But
so this next fight, we just got Guru was letting me know earlier. We just got announced is actually going to be moving up to the women's featherweight division. This has been kind of a trend recently. And is it because Nunes lost at at 135, or is it just Chasson having a little bit of a tough cut? Doing it back to back after Aspen Ladd kind of failed her cut. So are they cutting her a break? Because you look physically, Chasson is 4 inches taller, and she's also got like a 5-inch reach advantage and a 5-inch leg reach advantage. You got to figure if anyone was going to be having trouble cutting weight coming into this camp, then it might be the Chasson side. So seeing that it moved up to featherweight, just, putting on the little, the Clint tinfoil diehard MMA, the tinfoil hat here. If I had to guess, I would say Chasson's camp probably asked for it, but I also think that would be an advantage for Macy Chasson, because a couple of things I've seen where that, maybe I worry about her gas tank as the fight continues in clinch exchanges. And you know what? Raquel Pennington fucking loves clinch exchanges.
Yeah, she does.
So this fight is going to be ugly. There's going to be tons of knees thrown to the body in the clinch. And I do think that if Macy, is now getting this extra 10-pound allowance, she's a lot younger. I think she holds up well in those exchanges, but Pennington will win from distance. So if Chasson wants any type of chance here, and I do see a lot of money coming in because, it opened up a little bit further apart, but you got Pennington minus 180 and Chasson plus 155 now. I'm not running to play Macy, but Rocky also, I'm looking for props in this fight. I'll put it this way.
I think
you guys got any help?
I think honestly, they're doing Macy Chasson a bit of a disservice. Honestly, like maybe we thought the Aspen Ladd fight would have been a little bit tougher, closer, whatever. Aspen Ladd was a decent favorite, but Raquel Pennington I think is better than Aspen Ladd. So I don't know how this necessarily helps her. Maybe the extra 10 pounds is the big advantage that you do think it is. But I think that Raquel has, like you said, has the advantage in the striking, loves to be in the clinch, is going to be comfortable there, where Macy, is going to want to try to grind it out. And, you saw Raquel in her last fight drop that first round to Pani. And, she's, a little bit older, has had a relatively successful career. She could have let it go. but she keeps her eye on the ball, a true consummate professional, and she grinds out Penny, who maybe has a history of gassing out a little bit, but she got the job done. They both have wins over Marion Renault. I don't know. At the end of the day, when you've seen Raquel Pennington's loss, Holly Holm, Jermaine Durandame, Amanda Nunes, Holly Holm, Jessica Andrade, is Macy Chasson in that category. I feel like that's the same thing we talked about when we were breaking down her fight with Marion Renault, and it was the same thing when we talked about when we were breaking down her fight with Kianzad. And we ultimately decided that those two girls were not in those categories, and we picked Pennington, and it proved to be worth the pick. I tend to feel the same way here. You see something different, Uncle?
Not really, man, because my original pick was Pennington by decision, and I was planning on betting it. But this moving up to 145 bothers me, because Macy's huge. I mean, she's huge, dude, for the division. I mean, like, she's, what is it? We got 4 inches of height and 5 inches of reach here, and now she doesn't have to cut that extra 10 pounds. But it is Macy that's taking it on short notice. Because Pennington was supposed to fight Julia Avila. So, the strength of schedule advantage for Pennington simply can't be ignored. The experience advantage for Pennington can't be ignored. And then when you look at the striking metrics, it's Pennington. She's better defensively. Macy Chiasson gets hit way too much for my liking. And then when you look at the grappling, Chiasson's getting takedowns in the UFC against women like Mazzani, Morass, Landsberg, Shanna Young, and Marion Renault, and her takedown accuracy is at 21%. Pennington's isn't much better. Pennington's is just at 28.85%. But I think Pennington wins minutes on the feet here. I think she wins minutes in the clinch here. It's just the 145 is what's holding me back from actually making a Raquel Pennington by decision bet. But I think she wins this fight.
I would think I would lay the chalk on -230. Fight goes the distance. I don't see Chasson getting the finish on a veteran like Pennington who goes 5 rounds with Nunes. I also don't see Pennington finishing anybody at this stage of her career unless she were to get like one of those short notice, like, fighter coming up a weight class, making their debut, sacrificial lamb type of deals. So -230, fight goes the distance. Guru
That's
will
a fair number.
Try to find a parlay piece with another one on the card, going the distance. And I think we had one earlier that we were talking about. So keep an eye on that Bet MMA page because we're going to have some stuff flying up,
That's definitely a parlay leg piece. Like I feel pretty damn good about that one.
Yeah, so
maybe you parlay that with the Wonder Boy Bilal fight to go the distance.
I could totally feel that. Let's see. We gotta type Dontel's name correctly here because it's a little difficult. But yeah, we're getting very close to the end of the card here, guys. Thank you so much for making it this far. And if you have, please give a like to the video here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're gonna have to do a quick little search for Dontel, but yeah. So
check out our guy, man, our awesome special guest at MMA Weezy, man. He's got his awesome shows, Just the Tip, and the other I'm fucking spacing because I'm falling
the balls
asleep
deep
here.
breakdown.
Thank you.
High,
of course,
man. It can happen to the best of us, man. I'm drinking, so the only reason I know is because it's my channel.
Dude, you have the best freaking names for your pods, man. I love that. I meant to tell you, and I also love the Simpsons, the logo, man. I have a big Simpson poster in my bathroom, so we're definitely
Jimmy Apollo. That's one of my favorite skits of all time, man. If you go to YouTube and you type in Smooth Jimmy Apollo, it'll give you that clip from that classic Simpsons episode where Homer's trying to bet on football. It's one of my favorites of all time. So, and like Smooth Jimmy says, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time. And it rings true, man. It's hard to be right all the time.
One of my favorite shows, man. Seriously. That's great.
Listen, guys, talking about this fight, I'm not sure I'd be right, even 10% of the time trying to find a line on Dontel Mays versus Josh Parisian. I do think from like a physical standpoint, it makes sense seeing the line with Dontel Mays. He came in as a much bigger prospect. But given how they both fared against Roque Martinez, I'm not so excited to really play either guy because I do think that Mays, somewhat deserves his minus 200. But as Uncle Weezy was so beautifully breaking down before, this is like another one of those shit versus more shit type of deals. I got to give the props to Weezy because you know what? That just tells me, you got the second fight of the night. What do you got? 14 fights on this card. We had so many awesome fights breaking down. I don't want to waste my money on Dontel Mays versus Josh Parisian, guys. That's just me. Are you guys?
Wait, no, yes. Can we try? Can I try again? Can I try again?
Try.
Right. So it's a slop. So it's a slop fest, right?
Okay.
All right, and maybe of course they're heavyweights, right? So of course we got that first 2 minutes where a knockout could come any way, shape, or form, especially with these guys. But I'm telling you, what about the fight goes the distance at plus 132, right?
God damn it, Guru!
Come on.
I think you might have found something.
Come on, right? Because Parisian, right? Does he really have the one-shot knockout power we're looking for to put out a guy like Dontel Mays? And we saw Dontel Mays, right? He's got some powerful leg kicks, but he doesn't really. I mean, it's heavyweight, right? And 4-ounce gloves. Yes, there is that one-shot power anywhere, but like these guys aren't knockout artists, right?
They have seven total decisions between the two of them at heavyweight. That's actually pretty significant for low level.
Right? Why is it plus money? Why can't I get a plus money? The round prop is over 2.5 minus 104. That's just like a weird number to be set at to begin with for heavyweight. So let me get. I wanted it plus money before it's not plus money anymore. So plus 132. What do you think, Uncle Weezy? Did I get it right this time?
Dude, I actually kind of like that bet.
Yeah, let's go.
Dude, Parisian's got a head like an Easter Island statue. You know, I mean, like you're not knocking that dude out. He's got a ton of heart, and he's not exactly a knockout. I mean, he's finished 85% of his 14 wins inside the distance, 71% by knockout.
Ooh.
You know, so he does have knockout wins. But you know, the interesting thing is, one thing I wanted to do was I watched Mays and Parisian against Roque Martinez. And one thing that Roque did to Parisian that he didn't really do to Mays was he pressured him. You know, he made that fight. Roque was tougher on Josh than he was on Dontel. And when I watched Josh fight people that didn't pressure him, I actually think that he's just as good, if not better of a striker than Dontel. Dontel's got the body. He looks the part. But when you watch Parisian, he's actually kind of fast. He's actually kind of light on his feet, and he's kind of mobile, which are all things that Mays is. It's just that Parisian's a little more flashy. He throws spinning back fists. He throws big kicks. When he's not being pressured and you give him space, he's very comfortable in the striking exchanges. So I think that this is going to be a close fight. Both these dudes are really tough. Mays was only submitted by Cyril Gane with that was 448 into round 3 there. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was striking with Cyril Gane for 14 and a half minutes and, you know, wasn't in major trouble at any point in that fight that I remember. So I think this is close, you guys. You called it the dumpster dive of the week, and I think maybe Tafa Hunsucker is the with respect is the dumpster dive of the week, but I'm not laying minus 200 on Mays. If I do get to the window here, it'll be touching up Josh Parisian at plus 160 for a sprinkle, a half unit max. But it's a fairly low level heavyweight fight. And I think you want to be on the plus money side, especially when you think it's going to go to decision a little more often on those. And that's where I'm going to be. But I haven't bet it yet, and I probably won't.
In all fairness, that other dumpster was kind of on fire with Hunsucker and Thompson. Yeah. So no one's diving in that one.
You don't dive into a dumpster that's burning.
Yeah, it's so fun. I was thinking to myself when I knew we were having you on, I'm like, oh, what's he going to reveal as his ass shave of the week? And my pick for ass shaving of the week that I thought you were going to pick would be Justin Tafa. But
Yeah, that's a
I'm happy.
pretty obvious choice. I mean, because Tucker, I mean, Hunsucker's been knocked out or subbed in the first round in all 4 of his losses. So that spells ass shaving. It's just that, I don't have any faith in Tafa. Hani Barcelos is just a way better fighter than Justin Tafa is.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I went with Barcelos.
I love it. I love it.
Boys,
We've made it.
We've done a lot of work to make it to this point. And let me tell you, this is where things actually, like Weezy was preluding to before, it gets pretty interesting here to open up the card. Jordan Levitt versus Matt Sales. You got a couple guys that are right there in age. As far as size go, Levitt's got the height advantage. He's got 2 inches in height. He's got 2.5 inches of reach. But he's also got absolutely almost 0 in the stand-up. And Matt Sales, I mean, I will say, once he gets taken down, not a great look in the grappling department either. So this is a very binary fight, and there's a reason why this line is so close. But I think to just avoid picking the side overall, I mean, under 2.5 at -148, the inside the distance will probably be a little less than -200. I think one guy finds their happy place per se, and that's how this one plays out, simply enough.
I definitely think that this could very well be one of those Guru special card opening fights that doesn't go the distance. So I do think that that's a fair play. Is Matt Sales still at Alliance MMA with Dominic Cruz? Is that old information? Because I thought he was like a Dominic Cruz protege. I don't know if that relationship is still intact or.
I didn't do the Instagram, creeping. So
because we haven't
got any info there.
Because we haven't seen Matt Sales since the Bryce Mitchell twister. And Bryce Mitchell was an underdog like in that fight. So Bryce Mitchell has shot to like extreme importance since this fight. And we have not seen this guy since then. So I'm really curious as to, are there any sort of advancements he could have made at 27 years old? Is there something that we could be, missing in his time off? Because I know a lot of these guys through coronavirus, like they just lived in the gym. So do you have any news on that, MMA Weezy?
So here's the problem. Sales had knee surgery. Okay. And then he supposedly blew up to 240 pounds. Okay.
What?
Yeah. That's according to Matt Sales. He said that. So, and then evidently he's training at some boxing club. Somebody said that in one of the chats.
Yeah,
he's not at Alliance right now. And then we got to add in another piece of information, you guys. He's a featherweight and a small one at that. This fight is at lightweight. So a long way off. This guy wasn't in my database, which means he hasn't fought since before June of 2020. I had to add him in. He's a guy that has shown 81.25% striking defense. He's successfully defended 13 of 16 takedowns in the UFC. And even outside of the UFC, in the footage that I saw, his takedown defense is pretty good. But Levitt is a guy who sells out for the grappling. And what I like about Levitt is that if he won't get the takedown, he'll pull guard or he'll try to take your back standing. Levitt's fights have been taking place in control time positions 82% of the 19 minutes that he's spent in the UFC cage. So for a guy that has his skill set, you want to see that guy, selling out to get to the grappling. So, I'm picking Levitt in this fight. I think he should win this because Sales has been off for a while. He's coming off of knee surgery. He's moving up a weight class. We don't know if he's made improvements. He's 27 years old. But guess what? Levitt's only 26. He's getting better too. I think he learned a lot from that last fight.
And lost to our guy Pueyas last time. And you jogged my memory on something, so I hate to tie it all the way back up to the top. But back to the Derrick Lewis fight, that was like one of the things that I did want to bring up that you just jogged my memory. Cyril Gahn had all that extra fucking octagon to dance all over Derrick Lewis. It's 5 feet shorter everywhere. That's a lot less cage for Chris Dawkis to dance in.
Yeah, that it makes a difference, you guys. It really does. But I guess it depends on what you're doing, because I don't think Dawkis is going to shy away from the exchanges. I think he's going to try to do what Gon did, move in and move out. And he's way faster. He's the way better boxer, When you look at the stats for Derrick Lewis, it's a guy who loses fights up until he lands the big shot. And once he does, you're in a whole heap of trouble. And Matt Sales is kind of the same way, dude. If he hits you with that right hand of his, it's slick. It's right down the pipe. You're going to be in trouble. You're going to be on a stanky leg. And Levitt does not have the kind of striking defense at 46% that we like to see against a power puncher like Sales. So, yeah, I think if Levitt gets this to the ground and wrestles him and works for that submission game, I think he could beat him. And then not only that, if that doesn't work and Sales' takedown defense does hold up, I think he can knock him out. So I think you're right, my man. I think maybe it's the under 2.5 or the fight doesn't go to decision here. That's the smartest way to play this one.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's awesome.
I love closing up the card with a little bit more agreement. It feels like this was a great vibe. I mean, Chronic Combat, Uncle Weezy, bringing it to you. I mean, this was a hell of a breakdown. I really hope you guys tuning in and enjoyed, because this is just such a special occasion. I mean, you see the stats package that my brother helped put together. I mean, one of the inspirations behind all that is Uncle Weezy, and you add in MMA by the numbers, DFS by the numbers, and Uncle Weezy to round out like the trifecta of like people that really gave me this inspiration as far as like a stats-based approach here. I mean, nothing fills my heart more than to welcome, not even that, but just an even better guy overall onto the show. So, I mean, what a great time.
Uncle Weezy, man, you really could have given us 20 minutes of your time, man. We would have been appreciative. But for 2 hours, man, that's we're incredibly gracious, and we're honestly incredibly gracious to all of our viewers, listeners over this past year. We started this podcast with Max Holloway and Calvin Cater, just as a whim, as a thought, as just to try to keep up with guys like you, like Brady, like Fight Night Picks, like Clint. And you guys have now become our from people we look up to our peers and contemporaries, and it really means so much, and it continues to give us the motivation each and every week to come out and do shit like this. So seriously, thanks so much for being a part, man. It was an honor.
And I appreciate you guys having me on. I really like your show, and when I first started doing this, like when I got when Brady invited me to do stack figures with him, I mean, it blew me away to like see these people who I had been watching and then all of a sudden become their peers. Clint, Locke, these guys like the Dogger Pass podcast. These guys, they do a ton of work. They put a lot of great stuff out there, and I'm really just happy to be a part of it. And yeah, you asked me and I jumped on. I jumped at the opportunity. I appreciate both of you guys for having me on. God bless each and every one of you guys that are watching. Check me out on my YouTube channel, Uncle Weezy. I do balls deep breakdowns of fights there. I got a weekly show I do called Just the Tip every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Central Time. I break down all the fights on the UFC cards from a statistical perspective, bring spreadsheets like you guys do. And I'm going to be upgrading everything during this month off to try to bring even better content in 2022. And can't wait to see what you guys have in store for us too, man. It's going to be a fantastic year. Can't wait to chop it up with you guys again.
Yeah, I was about to say, one thing we want to make sure we have in 2022 is more Uncle Weezy. We're glad that we fit you here in 2021, man. So really appreciative of that. We're gonna have you for sure first quarter 2022 if you're down. So
I am down, man. This is what I do, baby. So
I'm
in.
Awesome.
Love it.
Seriously, everybody, thank you so much. I think we're looking to do maybe a year and recap podcast maybe at some point over this next month off. So definitely stay tuned to our Twitter for updates on that. Obviously not as much fun as a betting podcast, but we felt like we got to do one, and we owe it to all the fighters, and hell, to ourselves too. We put in a lot of work this year. So we'll stay tuned for that one, and really stay tuned to our Bet MMA page as well, because we're going to be rapid firing those bets out, trying to pick up from like a four fight card losing streak. I don't even want to
Oh,
mention
dude,
that.
you're not
but,
the
like,
only one, man.
No,
Like
I know.
4 out of the last 6 cards, I got rinsed, man. It's been rough out there. Like for some of the best, like you guys had Lucrative on last week, and that guy is an absolute fucking killer. And
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
made
been
a
a
unit
killer
last
for
week.
years. I mean, and years and years and years. And that guy has been on a rough streak over the last like 6 events, dude. It can happen to any of us. This is a wild fucking sport. You don't know when Keith Peterson's going to be shit-faced. You don't know when Saul D'Amato gets a big envelope under the fucking desk
Right.
that's telling you that he's going to be judging against the fighter that you bet on. It's hard what we do, but you got to put in the work. You got to do all the research, and the harder you work, the better things work out in the end. And we're going to continue doing what we do in 2022.
Hell
Wow.
yeah.
Seriously, Uncle Weezy, man, you are seriously family anytime, man. Welcome on the Chronic Combat Conversation Pod every week. You're
I
the best,
appreciate
man.
both of you. You just say the word, I'll come running, fellas.
Love it. We
Well, hey,
appreciate you.
hope
You
everyone
get out of
followed
here, man.
along
Go get
this
some
far.
sleep.
We'll
And
do
everyone,
that.
have
All
a
right,
great
take
night.
care, fellas.
You guys
Bye-bye
take
now.
care.
All right.